Hello everyone, JWhisp here, and welcome back to another video. As you guys can see, I just got Warlord on my Magus Storm. I've made a lot of videos on him, and I've shown him off in a lot of streams, and people ask me constantly, what gear do I use, what cards do I use, and all that stuff. So I just thought I'd answer everyone's questions and just make a really quick gear and deck setup for my Magus Storm. So yeah, we have 903 rating right now. I just got Warlord not long ago, and I'll show you guys the stats really fast. Pretty decent damage, pretty decent resist, and we got a little bit of pierce going on here, which is always nice. So let's start with the hat. For the hat, I started off using the Senator's hat. Obviously, the Zeus hat would be a little bit better if you wanted to farm for it, but I didn't really feel like farming Mount Olympus, so that's fine. But once I got the tickets, I just went for the Cowl of Tribulation just because it did give more resist, and I just think the stats are overall better. For the robe, I am using the Zeus's Thunderclap Drape. Of course, you could use the Senator's robe, and if you had enough tickets and wanted to, you could use the Warlord robe. The Warlord robe isn't too much better. The only reason I'm not using the Warlord robe right now is because, yeah, it gives 15% more resist, which is nice, but I like the extra damage that my robe gives, and I'm Storm. I need more damage than resist. You know, my strategy for Magus Storm relies on me spamming, doing multiple hits at once, or not, you know, not at once, but again and again, just totally spamming down the enemy, slowly getting down their health. So, you know, damage for me is more important than resist, but you could obviously go for that. For the boots, I'm using the Ancient Persian? I don't know. But yeah, I'm using these boots. I use them because they give a decent amount of damage and resist. Obviously, you know, Zeus or Senator's boots you could use, as well as you could use Warlord boots if you wanted to. But again, same thing with the robe. Yeah, the Warlord boots may give your commander or whatever may give a little more resist, but I like the extra damage from my boots. And for the wand is where you also have a few options. I started off using the Sky Iron just because it gave me, you know, 8% more damage, so then my damage was at 80%. You could use Fortune Tellers, it's decent, but again, I would use Sky Iron over that because of the damage. But currently, I'm using the Aquilin Lance, and it gives 8% less damage, but I think it's worth it because you get the 5% pierce, which is nice, as well as I may cast Queen Calypso, and it doesn't happen too often, but it's really nice when you just get a random Queen Calypso, you know, when you just use a wand to try to get someone's tower shield off. For the Athame, I'm using the Duelist Athame, obviously. Before you get this, I would just use the Heart Steel, but obviously before doing ranked matches, I would do tournaments so you could try to get this. For my amulet, I'm using the Amulet of Free Movement for the stun resistance. I think the second best option is Katzenstein's Necklace because it gives a nice Dark Wind, or Nightshade's Choker because it gives a weakness spell. For my ring, I'm using the Duelist Daredevil ring, again, just because it's probably the best ring I can get at this level. Here's my pet. As you can see, it's not the best pet. I would like to replace that 3% pierce with another damage talent. But I mean, it's still good, and I have the damage jewel, so it gives me a lot of damage. Mountain doesn't really matter. Deck, I have Deck of the Lotus. It's one of the best decks for Magus. So now that we have all the gear and stats situated, let's look at the deck I use. I don't really use too many spells that you have to farm for. It would be nice to have the Queen Calypso spell, but I'm not going to craft it or farm for it. It's not that big of a deal because I can use TCs. I also use Catch of the Day, but it's not mandatory. I don't use it a lot. You can also get Catch of the Day TCs. But for the deck here, you know, we have all this, which doesn't really matter. But I use 2 stun blocks. You know, stun blocks are always good. You need them against ice wizards, sometimes myths. Tower shields, 2 volcanic shields, 3 volcanic shields, sorry. I use a lot of these because I face a lot of storms and fires at this level, so it's nice to set for them. A few fairies. I don't really heal often because usually I can take down the enemy pretty quickly with my hits. A few infections just in case I need them. I have a few cleanse charms. I don't really use these. I'd rather use a wand hit, but I have them just in case. I have 2 dark winds, you know, to put up a bubble, which is nice. I have 2 disarms. I have 2 krakens. I have 2 lightning bats. 4 catch of the days because the reason it comes in useful, the reason I only use it is because you know, for 5 pips, you can do a decent amount of damage when it's enchanted. Plus, you remove 2 of their blades. So if they're blade stacking and you don't even want to necessarily hit, you can hit with this and just take weather blades. A few storm sharks, a few storm blades, a few thermic shields, which are also very good because I face a lot of ice wizards at this level, and 4 wild bolts because, you know, it's always fun using the bolt, and 2 elemental blades. I don't really blade too often, but if I get one within the first few rounds, I'll usually use it. And then for my side deck, I don't really use too many spells. I keep a few tower shields, a few enchants. I usually keep more than this. I usually keep 3 or 4. I don't know why this is kind of low. 2 or 3 infiles depending on how I'm feeling. I usually keep 1 Queen Calypso just in case I want to use it, and 1 Stormlord. Also, 1 Shift or 1 Triage. I don't have any Triage left, but just in case someone rampages you or uses a really strong overtime, you really need it. It's really fun when you shift, like, you know, a rampage back on a fire and then they just freak out. I don't know, it just makes my day when stuff like that happens. And for the general strategy, what I tend to do is I tend to blade sometimes early. I tend to infallible early. I tend to bubble early, you know, within the first 1-2 rounds. I'll use some shields. And then my favorite strategy, as long as the enemy doesn't stun shield, is using a Stormlord, which does 795 damage. But when you have the infal up, plus I have like 9% pierce and a ton of damage, that does a lot of damage on its own. And if that doesn't kill, which it'll probably almost kill, I'll use any leftover pips to hopefully get a lucky wild bolt, you know, use lightning bats, use catch of the day. For almost anyone I face, unless it's, you know, a level 50 ice with full Glendemming's Gear and Stormward, the, you know, Stormlord and catch of the day combo almost always kills. You know, some people can counter it, some people stun shield. When people stun shield, that's when you really just have to spam, you know, because once people stun shield, you don't really need Stormlord. The Stormlord, yeah, gives good damage, but it'd be more worth it to just use an enchanted Kraken for less pips to try to get that damage out. So in that scenario, just spam the enemy down. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just tried to make this fast. I didn't really, you know, try to plan it out or anything crazy like that. I just thought I would, you know, just kind of whip it out for you guys because a lot of people have been asking me in comments and streams, you know, what do you use? So there you go. That's the strategy. That's the gear. That's the deck. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this helps you guys, you know, if you're making a Magus Storm or if you're against a Magus Storm, to see what other Magus Storms do. So I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.